Man perishes, his corpse turns to dust, all his relatives pass away, but writings make him remembered. So this is Writings from Ancient Egypt, translated with an introduction by Toby Wilkinson. And if you don't have this, this is really good. So I thought I would do the Cannibal Hymn and then skip forward like 1,000 years or something and do the Satire of the Trades, just for fun. So the Cannibal Hymn is one of the best known of the pyramid texts, which is first attested in the Pyramid of Unas, which is around 2350 to 2325 BC, or BCE if you prefer. So that's the last king of the 5th dynasty. And it's kind of, it's about the gods who are butchered, cooked and eaten by the kings, that he may absorb and deploy their powers to assist him in his resurrection and apotheosis after death. So that's, it was kind of old-fashioned by a certain point. They just stopped using it. But yeah, so I'll just read this one out for fun. I know I have some Cannibal fan friends. Okay. The sky clouds over, the stars are cloaked, the vaults of heaven quake, the bones of the earth tremble, the planets are silenced when they say Unas rise as a soul, as a god who lives on his fathers, who feeds on his mothers. For Unas is a possessor of cunning, whose own mother knows not his name. Unas's nobility is in heaven, his power is in the horizon, like Atum his father, his begetter. While he fathered him, he is stronger than him. The spirits of Unas are around him, his female spirits are under his feet. His gods are above him, his serpents are his topknot. Unas's lead serpent is on his brow, the one that sees into the soul, the scorching Uraeus. Unas's neck is in its correct position. For Unas is the bull of heaven, who rages in his heart and lives on the being of every god, who feeds on their organs when they come with their bodies full of magic from the Isle of Fire. Unas is equipped, he has gathered his spirits. Unas is risen as a great one, a possessor of acolytes. He sits with his back to Geb. Unas he judges, alongside hidden is his name, on the day of slaughtering the firstborn. Unas is a possessor of offerings, who ties the rope, who makes his gifts himself. For Unas eats people, lives on the gods, a possessor of tribute who issues commands. It is the grasper of topknots who is in Khety who lassoes them for Unas. It is the rearing serpent who guards them for him, who repels them for him. It is the willow worker who binds them for him. It is Khonsu, the Lord Slayer, who cuts their throats for Unas, who cuts out for him what is in their bellies. He is the messenger who is sent to punish. It is Shesmu who cuts them up for Unas, makes meals from them in his dinner cauldrons. For Unas eats their magic, swallows their spirits. Their great ones are for his morning meal. Their middle ones are for his dinner. Their little ones for his night meal. Their old males and females are for his fuel. It is the great ones of the northern sky who lay a fire for him, for the contents of the cauldrons, the legs of their elders. For those who are in heaven serve Unas. They scrape out the pots for him with their women's legs. For he has traversed the 2 heavens in their entirety. He has travelled around the 2 riverbanks. For Unas is a great power, a power among powers. Unas is the hawk of hawks. Whatever he encounters on his way, he eats it whole. Unas's place is at the forefront of all the nobles who are in the horizon. Unas is a god, firstborn of the firstborn. Thousands serve him, hundreds offer to him. The status of a great power was given to him by Orion, father of the gods. For Unas has risen again in heaven. He is crowned as lord of the horizon. He has smashed vertebrae and spines. He has plucked out the hearts of the gods. He has eaten the red crown and swallowed the green. Unas feeds on the lungs of the wise and satisfies himself by living on their hearts and their magic. For Unas he dislikes licking the coils which are in the red, but is content when their magic is in his belly. The nobility of Unas will not be taken from him, for he has swallowed the knowledge of every god. The lifetime of Unas is everlasting, his limit is eternity, in his privilege of doing as he likes, not doing what he does not like, within the limits of the horizon for ever and ever. Lo, their power is in Unas's belly, their spirits are in the presence of Unas, as food for the gods, roasted for Unas from their bones. Lo, their soul is in the presence of Unas, their shadows taken from their divine owners. For Unas is risen among them who are risen, enduring among them who are enduring. Those who do evil deeds shall not have power in Unas's favourite place among the living in this land for ever and ever. Sorry about all the pronunciation errors. I like that one just got a bit old-fashioned and they were like, oh, I don't like that one anymore. We won't use it anymore. This is the next one is Satire of the Trades, or the Teaching of Khety, and it's Khety is the pseudonymous author talking to his son about why he should be a writer or a scribe, and saying that basically all the other trades are rubbish and only a scribe has the best job, and his son would be nuts if he wanted to do anything else. So that's kind of, it's believed to have been composed in the 12th dynasty, and the earliest surviving copy is from the 18th. So it's like, like 1,000 years or something, I don't know. Like scooting forward in time. But this is quite fun as well. And I thought this is kind of a good writing community kind of one. So, beginning of the teaching made by the man from Charu, whose name is Khety, son of Duaf, for his son named Pepy, as he fared south to the residence and to put him in the school for scribes, surrounded by the children of officials among the upper echelons of the residence. He said to him, I have seen beatings. Set your mind to writings. I have observed those taken away for the corvée. See, there is nothing that surpasses writing. It is like being on the water. Read the end of Kemet, and you will find this sentence there. Whatever position a scribe may occupy in the residence, he will not suffer in it. Even as he carries out another's requirements, rewards will not escape him. I have not seen an office like it, of which this saying could be said. I shall make you love writing more than your mother. I will make you appreciate its benefits. It is greater indeed than all other offices. There is nothing like it in this whole land. When he has only just begun to grow and is still a child, he is greeted and sent to carry out commissions before he has even arrived at the age of wearing a loincloth. I never saw sculptors as agents or a goldsmith sent on a commission. But I have seen the coppersmith at his labours, at the mouth of his furnace. His fingers are like a crocodile's, and he stinks more than fish roe. Every carpenter who wields an adze, he is more tired than the corvée labourer. His fields are the timber, his hoe the adze. There is no end to his labour. He does more than his arms can manage, yet at night he has to light his own fire. The jeweller willingly pierces hard stones of all sorts. When he has completed the inlay of the eye, his arms are exhausted, and so is he. When he sits down at sunset, his knees and back are crooked. The barber shaves until the end of the evening. He takes his bag, puts it on his shoulder, and takes himself from street to street, seeking someone to shave. He weakens his arms to fill his belly, like the bee that feeds as it works. The reed cutter travels downstream to the delta to obtain arrow shafts. When he has done more than his arms can manage, midges have killed him and sandflies have slaughtered him so that he is quite spent. The potter is under the earth, even as he stands among the living. He digs in the fields more than pigs, in order to fire his pots. His clothes are stiff with clay, and his kerchief is in shreds, so that when the air enters his nose, it comes straight from the fire. He paddles the clay with his feet, and is stuck fast in it himself. He digs the courtyard of every house, and roams the public places. I will tell you also of the mason. His loins are painful. Although he is outside in the wind, he builds without wearing a loincloth. His only covering is a twisted cord and a thread between his buttocks. His arms are exhausted from effort, having mixed all kinds of shit. He has to eat bread with his fingers, even though he has washed himself only once. The carpenter also suffers greatly, working at a ceiling, the roof of a room measuring 10 cubits by 6 cubits. A month passes until the roof beams are laid, the mats spread across, and all the work is done. As for the goods he is able to provide for his household, they do not even fill his children. The gardener carries a yoke. His shoulders are bent as with age. There is a lesion on his neck, and it festers. He spends the morning watering vegetables and the evening with the coriander, while at noon he has done himself in the orchard. He works himself to death more than all other jobs. The farmer cries out more than the guinea fowl. His voice is louder than a crow's. His fingers are swollen and stink greatly. He is weary, having been sent to the delta. He is ruined. He prospers, if one prospers, among lions. The hippos are grievous for him. His labour is trebled by them. He goes out, and when he reaches his house in the evening, the walk has finished him off. The map-maker in the weaving room, he is worse off than a woman. With his knees pressed against his heart, he cannot breathe air. If he wastes a day's weaving, he is beaten with 50 lashes. He gives food to the doorkeeper just to glimpse daylight. The arrow-maker is sorely afflicted, going out into the desert. He gives his donkey more than the work it does in return. He gives much to the farmer, who puts him on the right path. When he reaches his house in the evening, the walk has finished him off. The dispatch messenger goes out into the desert, leaving his possessions to his children. Afraid of lions and Asiatics, he only feels himself when he is back in the valley. When he reaches his house in the evening, the walk has finished him off. Whether his house is of matting or brick, his return is joyless. The stoker, his fingers are putrid and smell of corpses. His eyes are inflamed with lots of smoke. He cannot rid himself of his dirt. He spends the day cutting reeds. His clothes revolt him. The sandal maker is sorely afflicted among his vats of oil. He prospers, if one prospers among corpses, for he chews leather. The washerman washes on the riverbank, walking in front of the crocodiles. Father, get out of the flowing water, says his son. His daughter, into a job more satisfying. His food is mixed with dirt. No limb of his is clean. He handles the clothes of menstruating women. He weeps as he spends the day at his washboard and mangle. People say to him, "Dirty washing for you. Come to me. The banks are overflowing with it." The fowler is sorely afflicted as he watches the sky. When the flocks pass over him, he says, "Would that I had a net." But God does not make it happen, and his is an unhappy fate. I will tell you also of the fisherman. He is afflicted more than all other jobs. Look, he works on the river, consorting with crocodiles. When the time of reckoning comes, he will lament. He does not say, "There is a crocodile," for fear has blinded him. Coming out of the flowing water, he says, like the might of God. Look, there is no job without a boss, except for the scribe. He is the boss. So if you know writing, it would be more beneficial for you than these jobs I have put before you, each more wretched than the other. A peasant is not called a man. Beware. Look, what I have done while journeying south to the residence, I have done for love of you. A day in the classroom is good for you. Though difficult, its works last forever. The corvée labourers I told you about are mobilised and defiant. I will tell you likewise other words of wisdom to teach you to be wise, such as, if a fight breaks out, do not approach the parties. If a brick is seized by an impatient man, and it is not known how to calm his temper, and there are witnesses before the judges, answer him with care. If you walk behind elders, follow at a good distance. If you enter a householder's home, and his hands are full with another who has arrived before you, sit with your hand over your mouth, and do not ask anything from him. Do as he tells you. Beware of rushing to the table. Be dignified and very honourable. Do not tell secrets. He who hides his true intent makes a shield for himself. Do not say things recklessly when you sit with a defiant person. If you go out of the schoolhouse when midday break is announced, and go walking in the streets, everyone will dispute you in the end. If an elder sends you with a message, tell it as he told it. Don't take away, don't add to it. He who stops praising, his name will not endure. He who is of wise character, nothing is hidden from him. He is not thwarted anywhere. Do not tell lies against your mother. The elders abhor this. After a meal has been prepared, your hand should be placed at your nose. Do not keep company with a defiant person. It is bad for you when it is heard about. If you have stuffed yourself with 3 loaves, washed down with 2 jugs of beer, and your belly is still not full, fight against it. If another person is eating, do not stand. Guard against rushing to table. See, it is good if you are sent frequently to listen to the words of the elders. Thus you will form the character of the well-born as you follow in their footsteps. The scribe is seen as a listener, and the listener becomes a doer. Stand up when you are spoken to. Make haste when you walk. Do not be too trusting. Attach yourself to people of distinction. Make friends with a man of your own generation. See, I have set you on the path of the god. A scribe's fortune is upon his shoulder from the day of his birth until he reaches the council chamber and the assembly of the people. See, no scribe is lacking in food or in good things from the royal estate, life, prosperity, health. Destiny is assigned to the scribe to promote him in the council. So praise God for your father and mother who set you on the path of life. Look, this is what I put before you, your children and their children. It has been accomplished well and pleasingly.